This machine is awesome. There's no point in downplaying it. As premium ATVs go, the 2023 CanAm Outlander 1000 XXC is pretty close to perfection. That's a subjective view, of course, and it's a fairly niche segment of enthusiasts who will truly appreciate the features which primarily lend themselves to pushing the boundaries of hardcore 4x4 ATV riding. Before we jump in, I wanted to give a shout out to Brunt, the brand that's transforming workwear and taking the internet by storm. These are high-quality, tough-as-nails work boots that Brunt said would also make for safe and comfortable riding boots for our 4x4 excursions. And man, they were right. I grabbed the 8-inch Marin, Flying Brian got the Kasperian, and the Viking picked up the Destasio. I've been wearing the Marins every ride this year, and they seem to get more comfortable every time I put them on. The high ankle support adds protection both on and off the ATV, which is very important to me when I'm running through the woods to get shots for our videos. And if you're interested in checking them out, we have a discount code for $10 off. Just check the link in the description. Last year, we compared two of our favorite ATVs on the market in Yamaha's Grizzly 700 and Suzuki's King Quad 750. And while we'll always love those machines for their balanced performance and reliability, there is a strong dichotomy between their balance and the all-out excessive performance in CanAm's Outlander XXC. This isn't the machine for the faint of heart, and many enthusiasts will balk at the relatively steep price point of $15,899. Although as we break it down, the price seems pretty reasonable for what you get.
My God, boys, that might be the best four-wheeler I have ever ridden.
CanAm's Rotax 976cc V-twin is the most powerful engine in an ATV, and CanAm clutches these machines to make the most of it. We've been riding 1000cc Outlanders and Renegades for years, and nothing compares to their punch.
All right, what's the difference between the 19 Audi and the 23 Audi XXC?
A couple of the big differences I notice are like the raised pegs. Give your foot a secure grip. Keep your feet planted on the floorboards there. The punch of the motor seems like is different between the two. This has got all kinds of low end punch and grunt to it. This has got plenty of power, don't get me wrong, but this seems like it's got more of a punch. It's a little more responsive, I guess.
And that one has a programmer and this one doesn't, so that's interesting to know.
The power steering on the new models seems to be more aggressive. It offers more assistance than the older ones, and I think that helps it handle quite a bit. And then the biggest thing you notice is the suspension. Seems like the harder you push it, the smoother it gets. So
yeah, the DPS on the 19, I don't care what mode you had it in, it never changed. It was always hard. But it's almost like riding a Grizzly when you got it on the easiest setting.
Yeah, so CanAm's improved their DPS a lot.
Greatly.
Yeah. That was one of the things. That was my biggest complaint about the CanAm's is like, yeah, there's DPS, but it doesn't feel like it's doing anything on the older models, so that's good to know.
CanAm also deserves some credit for making continuous improvements on their ATVs. One of the more recent features being the intelligent engine braking system that can help you slow these beasts down with the clutch, or allow more rolling speed if you're into that sort of thing. Tri-mode dynamic power steering also feels like it's been improved over previous years, offering more assistance in the higher setting with a more noticeable difference between the three options. I haven't substantiated that claim, but that's what it feels like to us.
Did you play with the engine braking?
Yeah, the adjustable engine braking. This has got a lot of engine braking, which is good if you're going down some of the steeper hills. But if you're just kind of, if you want it to coast a little bit, it's cool that one's got the adjustable. You got, what is it, a light, medium, and max or something?
Yeah.
You got three settings on that.
Just a trigger on your right hand.
Yeah. I pretty much had it in the lightest setting, and
so you think
thought that was good.
The adjustable engine braking's a win then?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You like that?
Oh, it's a big difference.
XXC features are primarily geared towards performance and protection. A beefy aluminum front bumper and Hardy skid plates maximize factory protection, while Hardy aluminum raised foot pegs grab your boots, and race-inspired suspension allows you to make the most of the on-tap power. The suspension system features arched AA arms up front for increased ground clearance and a torsional trailing arm in the rear, both with Fox 1.5 Podium RC2 shocks that provide dual-speed compression adjustments, rebound, and lots of preload adjustability. This is racier suspension than what's found on the QS3s of the XTP version, and with more compression adjustability and what feels like stiffer spring rates from the factory.
All right, Epi, we have been on standard Outlander 1000s. What I mean by that is just the pogo suspension. We've spent a lot of time on the XTP, which is like the QS3 suspension. Yep. It's much more of a racier suspension versus what you would get on the XTP suspension, which is basically like 3-click, easier to adjust. What are you noticing in terms of ride, the difference between this suspension and the XTP?
At slower speeds, quite a bit harsher. But when you get very aggressive and you get into the harsher parts of the trail, it's actually more plush,
more compliant,
yeah, where the others will start to beat you to death.
And that's what we would expect between the difference between trail oriented suspension on the XTP. This is racing oriented suspension. This is not supposed to make the ride more comfortable. This is supposed to make the machine more capable. And that's an important distinction for people who are interested in these different machines. This suspension is not suspension that you're going to get on and be like, oh wow, it's so plush and comfortable. It's suspension that is going to make you capable of riding much harder and keeping the machine into compliance. So that's, I think, the important difference.
If you are a regular run-of-the-mill Sunday after church trail rider, you will hate this machine. Horrible section of the trail. I was just like, forget about it. I'm going to hammer this thing. And I'm telling you, I got done. I was like, oh my gosh, this is where it shines. It makes you want to be unsafe, because the pace where you think you're going to be unsafe is where you feel the safest on this thing.
The harder you push the suspension, the better it is.
Yes.
Awesome.
The Outlander is a big, heavy machine, 895 pounds dry, which means when you add fluid and rider body weight, you can easily push about 1,200 pounds of rolling force, which can be hard to stop, especially considering how quickly you can spin up the power.
It's a little bit different trying to throw away or throw around however many pounds it's in. It's a little bit heavier than a Raptor for sure. But the power is definitely there. If you want to bring it around sideways, you don't have to worry about kicking your weight around. You just turn the bars and give it the gas and it'll do it itself.
Steer with the rear.
Steer with the rear.
The wheels and tires have long been one of our favorite package options, with 26-inch ITP Terracross tires mounted on 14-inch cast aluminum beadlock wheels. I'm almost tired of talking about the ITP Terracross tires because we have recommended them so many times, but they really are some of our favorite tires and by far the best factory option on the market. As tends to happen when electronic features get added to a machine, the handlebar controls and instrumentation are getting a little bit busy on the Outlanders. That's not an issue for riders looking to take advantage of the features, but there is a bit of a learning curve that becomes more natural with time. Purists who prefer simplicity over complexity might get a little overwhelmed. The elephant in the room here is that the Outlander XXC's competition, of which there really isn't much. If you want a spec and feature comparison, you're going to have to drop quite a bit of coin into Polaris' Sportsman XP 1000, which means the only real competitor is CanAm's own Renegade XXC. In our opinion, the Renegade is kind of a bear in wolf's clothing. And what I mean by that is it's a 4x4 trying to pretend it's a sleeker, sportier ATV than it really is. The Outlander embraces being a bear, which means you get more mud protection, more towing capacity, more rack capacity, more storage capacity than the Renegade, with very similar performance. The Renegade's 100 pounds lighter at 795 pounds, but some of the weight is from the difference in tires, a little less skid plate protection, and less bumper and plastics. We're not recommending one machine over the other here, but we do prefer the ITP Terracross tires on the Outlander over the ITP whole shots on the Renegade. The added grip seems to make up the difference in performance caused by the weight disparity, and we should also note that the Renegade is $400 cheaper than the Outlander.
Okay, so let's say you go out and buy a generic four-wheeler, 11, 12 grand. And then you're looking at, because I done it, you buy a set of wheels, a set of tires, That could be $1,500. This comes with LED headlights, hand guards. You're looking at full skid plates.
We like to put the foot pegs, raised foot pegs on, a couple $100.
Really, before you know it, Lordy mercy, you could be setting 14 grand.
Easy.
And still be setting with a
almost 50 horsepower less.
Yeah.
The Outlander 1000 XXC is a pretty awesome machine for a pretty niche group of riders. More casual focused trail riders who still want the Rotax power on tap might be better served by the features of the XTP. But hardcore individuals who like the Outlander for its features over the Renegade and might be somewhat inclined to test their mettle in an XC race will certainly get everything they bargained for. Thanks for checking out the video, guys. Let us know if you'd rather have a Renegade or Outlander XXC in the comments, and we'll see you next time right here on Dirt Obsession.